Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Monty Serene Show. Our guest for tonight is extremely special. They are one of the leading figures of anthropological study and have contributed to many of the changes made to society. Coming all the way from San Francisco, please welcome Clifford Geert.
Thank you all. More than glad to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. Very excited to be here. My pleasure.
How about you introduce yourself to our audience and expand more on what you have done in the study of anthropology?
Yes, of course. I'm Clifford Geert, and since I was young, I've lived a pretty isolated life. My parents actually divorced back when I was 3, I would say, and since then, I've always lived in a very rural atmosphere. Actually, over in North San Francisco. I never really did much up until war had come, and I joined the Navy right away. And currently, I am a cultural anthropologist, also a proponent of symbolic anthropology, and I've also contributed to ethnography as well.
It is incredibly fascinating that you were actually in the U.S. Navy during World War II. I've heard you've also studied at outstanding university that has helped you become who you are today. You're considered as one of the most influential figures of anthropological study because of your outstanding work.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible, although tragic experience. But actually, the events leading after service had led to a total change in my life. After I came back, I attended Antioch College. This had actually only happened because of the GI Bill I had access to, or else I would have been too poor to really afford any type of schooling.
And what exactly is the GI Bill?
The GI Bill was basically funding for ex-servicemen. This was the only reason I was able to get into college. I had fellowships at numerous schools before joining the anthropology department staff and the University of Chicago as well. I had previously graduated from Harvard School as well with my dear wife. Then later on, I became a professor of social science at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton and retired as a professor emeritus in 2000.
Whoa, that's a lot to take in.
Well, yes.
I've heard you've also published many books.
Yes, there's this book that I wrote back in, I would say, 1973. It's called The Interpretation of Cultures, and basically it describes the broad understanding of the people of Bali in relation to violence, social status, morality, and even beliefs.
Oh, wow. I've also heard some of the rewards you received in relation to being an author. Do you mind adding on to that?
Yeah, of course. I've always been a fan of literature and writing, so winning the National Book Critics Award in 1988 was a huge accomplishment in my life. This was one of the many awards that I've received in the past.
Well, I'm glad you were able to fulfill one of your many dreams, sir. I would like to know when this all started. After college, when did your real research begin?
Well, I started my journey of study in Sefru, Morocco, where I began field research in 1663 till the 1980s.
That is amazing. Almost 20 years. Congratulations. In case you guys didn't know, Geertz contributes to social and cultural theory and is still influential in allowing the educators and learners to ponder upon his anthropological theories in schools and universities. Could you reflect on the basic core elements of anthropology?
Well, I established an alternative approach to the failure of the universal theories that explain the human behavior. I took into account that there should be a more focus on social sciences overall, which allows the public to have a better understanding of one another. I've also contributed to ethnography, which is the understanding of beliefs and practices of various cultures. It can't really include that much or I'd be rambling for hours.
Wow, that is remarkable. I can tell that your research has a lot of impact.
Yes, I think I have impacted this study a tremendous amount, and especially the way we perceive each other today.
Mind telling us more about that?
The impact of my study is very much relevant today because I changed the overall importance of learning about culture and their interpretation. We are able to understand how such cultures are different, how we as humans interact within society, My study impacts today's definition of anthropology because I've come to a conclusion that certain communities have attained greater economic growth and modernization than others. Like, with this into account, we can understand how such communities interact with one another and how much they have progressed over time.
Oh, so you have basically taken the significance of cultural symbolism to a whole different level. For example, you established how cultural symbols are seen in such communities and also comparing traditions, cultures, and rituals.
Yeah, exactly. That can be helpful today as we can distinguish symbols and political gestures amongst the communities that we are surrounded by. For example, if we compare the symbols or the national identity of the communities in Toronto, we can identify that these groups are composed of various rituals and symbols. The Sabbath for Jewish, symbol of the cross for Christians, the symbol of the Kunda, symbolizing the belief in one God. There's a lot of information that comes with how cultures differ, and looking into the importance of them is extremely essential. This is how individuals identify themselves.
So overall, you allow researchers of anthropology to unfold the importance of comparing cultures.
Yes, that is the prime purpose of my anthropological study.
And that's all for today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an honor speaking with you, sir.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Monty Serene Show, and we'll see you tomorrow night.